Despite operational challenges, President Tinubu enacts student loan scheme into law. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission announces electricity tariff hike. Windstorm claims 4 lives and causes devastation in Nasarawa and Taraba communities. On the international scene, Taiwan devastated by deadly quake, 9 lives lost and hundreds injured in most powerful quake in 25 years. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. Now the news in full. After some hiccups and setbacks, President Bola Tinubu has signed the National Students Loan Amendment Bill into law, signposting his administration's determination to deploy education as a tool to fight against poverty. The president signed the bill on Wednesday at a short ceremony at the State House, Abuja. Kehinde Amodu reports.
President Tinubu is signing this bill into law in the presence of the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Deputy President of the Senate Barau Jibrin, his Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila, and some members of his administration. The president had initially signed the student loan bill into law back in June 2023 to offer financial assistance to Nigerian students in tertiary institutions, but various issues had hindered the rollout of the scheme, necessitating its being sent back to the National Assembly for amendment. The meticulous approach to implementing the scheme indicates the administration's belief that education is the effective tool to fight against poverty.
We are here because we are all educated and we are helped. In the past, you've seen a lot of our children drop out of colleges and given up the opportunity. That is no more.
Stakeholders are delighted with the signing of the scheme.
And we want to thank Mr. President for his compassion and his passion for the downtrodden, actually, who are the beneficiaries of this scheme. Now the days when students will be struggling to sponsor themselves in their various educational endeavors is over, both at the tertiary and those who are seeking skills, who are seeking to be skilled, to be empowered, to move on with their lives.
The Nigerian students particularly are happy. Our parents are happy that yes, in Nigeria, even the children of the poor can have access to quality education. We see Mr. President's commitment and the signing of the bill today. It shows that Mr. President is a father of modern education in Nigeria, and the initiator of this bill is a hero of education. So we are happy. We've never seen this before. The education system in Nigeria will have a turnaround.
The committees on tertiary institutions and TED Fund of the two arms of the National Assembly had carefully scrutinized the provisions of the bill before passing it. With the initial hiccups out of the way, it is hoped that the National Students Loan Scheme will now take off. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has approved the increase of electricity tariff for customers under the Band A classification. At a briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, NERC's Vice Chairman Musliu Osheni said the increase will see customers paying 225 naira for a kilowatt per hour from the current 66 naira. Customers on the Band A are those who enjoy 20 hours of electricity supply daily. Osheni said these customers represent 15% of the 12 million electricity customers in the country. He added that the Commission had also downgraded some customers on the Band A to Band B due to non-fulfillment of the required hours of electricity provided by the electricity distribution company. He added that the review will not affect customers on the other bands. The development comes amid Monday's announcement by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority of an increase in the price of natural gas, which is used to generate more than 70% of electricity in Nigeria. Meanwhile, reactions continue to trail the reported planned increase of electricity tariffs by 300% despite poor performance in the power sector. A former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Professor Sam Amadi, says the removal of subsidies in the power sector will likely be disastrous for Nigeria's citizenry. Let's take a look at the report.
The director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, and the former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Professor Sam Amadi, in the video interview on Trust TV's Daybreak Show, identified the counterproductive implications of a tariff hike under the current economic climate, adding that Nigerians may be negatively affected if the gaps in the industry are not adequately addressed.
They are not getting the power. They are paying for alternative provision a lot. And now, if you increase tariff, it's not just increasing tariff, it's also the fact that they might still have almost the same level of supply. So they pay high for the meager 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on where they are. Supply also pay for increasing diesel costs, increasing fuel costs.
The industry expert also highlighted the viable options available for power sector reforms that would save Nigerians from bearing the brunt of more financial burden.
Tariffs don't increase large in the electricity market because it's 20 years, 25 years to amortize their costs. So the investor is patient. He makes an investment. But here, you don't have the product. You have a poor customer base, and you want to square the revenue and the cost immediately. That's the problem. It's not going to work easily because you have inefficiency, you don't have the quantity, people are not ready to pay, they don't even have the power. So what we should have done, if you had strong investors who could bite the sword for a period of time, they will improve the network, expand services. Then when power flows, more quantity flows, unit costs go down, and people will be more willing to pay.
According to latest reports, power companies will be allowed to raise electricity prices to 200 naira per kilowatt hour from 68 naira for urban consumers in the month. The Bloomberg news agency, citing sources, reported on Tuesday. It quoted people in the presidency with knowledge of the matter, saying this was in a bid to attract new investment and slash about $2.3 billion spent to cap tariffs.
A heavy rainstorm has killed one, injured several others, and destroyed hundreds of houses in 2 local government areas of Nasarawa State. According to Trust TV's Abubakar Abdullahi, the affected communities are Agbashi and Aloshi in Doma and Kiana local government areas. His report is here presented from our studio.
The incident happened on Tuesday evening, leaving houses and worship places such as churches and mosques badly affected. A pastor in one of the affected worship centers, Dashe Samuel, said he escaped being seriously injured by the whiskers.
I was the last person sitting at the back of the church. As I saw how the church was shaking, the way the wind was blowing, I now said, let me just go out. Immediately as I left out, then the building have collapsed.
Chairman of Kaina local government area, Sanusi Abdul, and member representing the area in the Nasarawa State House of Assembly, Muhammad Omadefu, while confirming the incident, described it as an unfortunate tragedy. According to them, hundreds of residential buildings, worship centers, and other public structures were destroyed in the areas.
In Aloshi here, in fact, almost every house is affected. Every house in Aloshi is affected. And you can also see Kiana, the mosque, the church, I think in every compound in Kiana, there's also this incidents.
As I have said, we will attract both government, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and spirited individuals, including my good self, to come to the aid of the people, of the affected people.
Trust TV gathered that Basa settlement in Okonu on the outskirts of Agbashi was badly affected as one man lost his life while 7 others were also badly injured. Those affected in the 2 communities are calling on the state and federal governments to urgently intervene to caution the devastating effects on them.
Similarly, 3 residents of Takum town in Taraba State lost their lives following a heavy windstorm that hit the town Tuesday evening. The incident, according to a resident, Maywada Takum, occurred Tuesday evening with several residential, commercial, schools and office buildings destroyed. He said many people are trapped inside the building that collapsed while flying zincs injured residents. Residents say assistance from the state government and National Emergency Management Agency is needed to assist those whose buildings were destroyed. Over 200 houses have been razed down by a fire at Kwalele village of Buji local government area of Jigawa State. The outbreak, according to the state's Emergency Management Agency, has destroyed property worth 30 million. The report.
The raging fire tore through Kwalele village in Buji local government area of Jigawa State, reducing over 200 homes to ashes. While the quick action of villagers prevented any loss of life, the flames devoured property estimated at 30 million naira, including livestock, homes, crops, furniture and trees. The state's deputy governor, accompanied by an emergency relief team after an inspection of the damage, pledged government support to aid the recovery efforts of the affected residents.
So I'm calling not only them, everywhere within Jigawa State, they should be very conscious, more especially when it comes to cooking outside during this season. Because you can see that SEMA was trying to tell the people to be careful of what they put outside, because it can just go to another place. I sympathize with the people on behalf of Jigawa State and the people of Jigawa State. We are really sympathizing for what happened, and may Allah provide what they lost.
Initial relief efforts comprising essential supplies such as food, bedding and utensils have been dispatched to address the immediate needs of those affected. Although the exact cause of the fire remains unknown, many believe that the combination of dry, windy conditions and the use of open flames for cooking in the village, predominantly mud and thatched houses, may have ignited the fire.
Truck drivers conveying goods to Plateau State are raising security concerns over the state traffic law that prevent trucks and other heavy-duty equipment from entering into Bokor-Jos metropolis between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. The state government announced on March 10, 2024, the signing of Executive Order 003 by Governor Caleb Mutfwang, imposing a fine of 500,000 naira on violators of the law, a development that did not sit well with the drivers. Adomusa visited the truck parking site and now reports.
Since the implementation of the traffic law, truck drivers are expected to park at Maraban Jamaa until 9 p.m., after which they are allowed to either drive into Bokor-Jos metropolis or pass through other states. According to the drivers, the designated parking area is neither safe for their lives nor for their trucks, describing the area as volatile. Honestly, it is risky for us to be parking here for fear of the unknown. It is a fact that whenever there is crisis in the state, it spreads to other parts, and parking here is putting our lives in danger because we wouldn't know what will happen. Please, government should do something. We are begging government to reconsider this order. This is a place that something can happen unexpectedly. We are expected to remain here till 9 p.m. without security personnel that can prevent us in case of any problem. This is our cry. We call on the government to look at this law again. To me, parking here is at the same time putting our lives in danger, because with the nature of insecurity in this country, it is dangerous to be parking here until 9 p.m. Government should please provide another safe place for us. The driver said They will continue to be law-abiding while pleading with the government to provide favorable alternatives to the order. Adomusa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Earlier, we spoke to Trust TV's Adomusa in Jos on the development. Take a listen.
Well, at the moment, I went around the state capital, and I have observed that a lot of people are participating in the strike, while some are not participating in the strike because I observed that, like the filling station, for example, they are still selling fuel from this morning to this time. I also witnessed that some traders are also selling or are also operating. But on the other hand, when I went to some of the major markets within the state capital, I've equally observed that the shop owners at that market, they are also participating in the strike. Because when I went to the Terminus market, one of the biggest markets in the state capital, the traders are not operating. I also went to Katako market, also another market. The traders are not also operating. The same thing when I went to New Market, I also observed that people are still participating in the strike. So the strike is partially effective within the state capital.
Okay. Now, from what I've gathered from what you have said so far, there is strict compliance with the strike action. I'd like to hear from you. Has there been a communication between the government and the aggrieved transporters?
Yes. What the traders told journalists this morning that the representative of government has called them for a meeting regarding their decision to embark on the strike today, because one of the stakeholders confirmed to me that they have had a meeting with the secretary to the state government where he pleaded with them to call up the strike and also ask them to go and form another committee that will now represent them during a meeting that government is planning to have with them. So government has really reacted to the decision. But the traders have not come out to call up the strike yet, but they have confirmed to us that government has called them for a meeting, and they believe that something positive will come out at the end of the day.
Okay, Adomusa, while we await feedback from that supposed meeting with the government, I'd like to know what impact, in your understanding, do you think this will likely have on business operations in Plateau State?
Well, honestly, a lot of people are complaining about the situation, because I could remember a lot of people coming this afternoon that they went to the market and they realized that virtually all the shops are not closed. So whether we are aware of what is happening or not. So we told them that this is the development, because the Plateau State Joint Association of Traders, Transporters and Marketers have declared a one-day warning strike. So this is the development. So a lot of people are complaining about it. But one thing I realized, that if maybe the filling stations have participated or are participating in the strike, it will have made more impact than if they have not participated. But in spite of the participation of most of the traders, it has really impacted on the economic activities within the city center.
Trustee Adomusa there. Now, away from Plateau State, the Taraba State Police Command says 7 suspects have been arrested in connection with the abduction of 2 students of Federal University, Ukari. The State Police Commissioner, David Loya-Nomon, who disclosed this, however, said the investigation is ongoing to ascertain if the arrested persons are involved in the abduction or not. Loya-Nomon said the police and other security agents are still in the forest to rescue the abducted students. Meanwhile, the public relations officer of the university, Adore Audu, has identified the 2 students as Joshua Sardona from Economics Department and Obianu Elizabeth Chiwadu from Microbiology Department. She added that the victims are spillover students. More on security matters. Troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army say they have neutralized 5 terrorists, foiled kidnapping attempts, and recovered a substantial cache of arms and ammunition. The troops, while acting on intelligence reports on plans by the terrorists to kidnap some church members returning from church program in Wukari along Totsei and Takum Road, neutralized 4 of the gunmen and recovered 2 AK-47 rifles, 1 pump-action rifle, and 2 AK-47 magazines. The troops also neutralized 1 terrorist at Chachangi ward of Takum local government area and recovered 1 locally fabricated FN pistol, 2 rounds of 9mm ammunition, and 1 mobile phone belonging to the criminal. The military implored members of the public to continue supporting its troops by providing timely and credible information on any suspicious movement or activities of criminals within the state. This is the News Hour on Trust Television. Still ahead. After much controversy, business operations picking up for medicine dealers at new location in Kano State. We'll bring you insights and details of this story and more after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. But if you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's take a look at a recap of some of our top stories. You heard that despite operational challenges, President Tinubu enacts student loan scheme into law. Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission announces electricity tariff hike. And now moving on to more stories. With the Ramadan fast gradually approaching its last week, options of drinks to break the fast with are gradually shrinking following changes in weather conditions in Bauchi State. Trustee Visamo Imam spoke with some residents who are divided on what to drink immediately after sunset, taking into consideration likely impact on the health of individuals. The report. We'll bring you details of that report in subsequent bulletins. Now, away from that, the deadline set for the submission of the new minimum wage report has passed with no resolution by the committee members. Documents from the Wage Minimum Committee show that an average of 56 memoranda were received at the zonal public hearings. On an average, based on these memoranda, the new minimum wage should be at about 622,650 naira across the geopolitical zones. In this report, Trustee Sagir Ibrahim speaks with Nigerians who shared their thoughts on the feasibility and possible economic implications of having a minimum wage above 500,000 naira. The report.
The 37-man tripartite committee set up by the federal government to review the national minimum wage revealed that it had received a total of 56 memoranda across the 6 geopolitical zones. It also added that it had received reports of the zonal hearings held across the 6 zones of the country, during which each zone suggested different amounts as minimum wage. For the North Central Zone, 338,400 naira was suggested as the proposed new minimum wage. In the Northeast, 298,277 naira was suggested. For the Northwest, 355,210 naira was suggested as the new minimum wage. In the Southeast geopolitical zone of the country, 495,666 naira was suggested. And for the South-South geopolitical zone, 1,199,400 naira was suggested as the proposed minimum wage. In the Southwest, 472,200 naira was suggested. With the recommendations in, the question of whether the federal, state government and the private sector will be able to shoulder a minimum wage regime above 500,000 naira has led to a new round of controversy.
You don't blame people that are requesting beyond the 400,000 naira, because if you look at the condition of Nigeria now, for you to even buy anything in the market, the purchasing power is not there, and money does not have a much value, because you have to consider transport, rent, and now food is taking over 70% of our income. So how do you do health, transport, rent, and other things?
I don't think it's very, very feasible to get those numbers. Even 100,000 is going to be extremely difficult, because right now, almost every subsidy is gone in the economy. And there's no stable power. We have to look at these variable factors that are actually operating to see how it is fair for private sectors, and also how it is going to be fair for the government as well.
With state governments and some private sector players barely able to meet up with the current 30,000 naira wage, these Nigerians are worried about the economic consequences of an increased minimum wage.
Before you begin to even have this discussion, the first thing you should have done is to look at the debt profile, okay, or debt exposure of some of these states. Okay, and don't even look at the ones that are a little rural. Look at the very cosmopolitan ones, and then see, how they are struggling to pay the present day minimum wage. Look at the statistics, of a private sector, companies that are moving to the next level, and the percentage of them that are, closing shop. How many factories, have closed down in the past 2, 3, 4, 5 years? That should be a starting point.
As at now, some governors still don't pay 30,000. They are still paying 18,000 as minimum wage. So how can you say such governors should jump from 18,000 to 200,000? The private sector will be unable to keep their employee, and that's a serious issue, and it's going to affect economic growth, and it's going to affect GDP. Because if I have 5 staff working for me, and apparently now I'm paying them 300,000 altogether, now you now come up with a minimum wage of 150,000, and it has jumped to 750,000 naira without considerable income to the company. I would definitely have to let some people go. So there will be increment in unemployment, and there will be challenge for economic growth in Nigeria.
The tripartite committee on the review of the minimum wage is expected to reconvene mid-April to continue further negotiations of the new minimum wage, now expected to be announced by the president on the 1st of May. From Abuja, Sagir Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, on Tuesday announced plans by the government to go after individuals with fake university certificates in the country. According to the minister, the individuals will be tracked after the committee set up by the federal government to investigate the activities of university certificate racketeers in the country submits its report. The minister also highlighted some of the developments in the education sector and the commitment of the Tinubu administration to address gaps.
Talking about accreditation of certificates, you remember some 2-3 months ago, the issue about fake certificates flooding the country, and the high-powered interministerial committee which we have set up. That committee is rounding up its work, and from what I heard, from what I was informed, we have major breakthroughs about fake certificates flooding this country. So as we promised earlier on, once we get the report, not only will it help the ministry strengthen its recognition and accreditation of certificate, but those who come into the country who patronize fake certificates will have themselves to blame. But we're going to trace them with the security agencies to their employers so that they are all flushed out of the system and in appropriate cases investigated. This has become another major area of focus for the country, and the ministry is working with the security agencies to ensure safety of our schools. And one of the things that we've been able to develop with the Ministry of Justice is a standard operation procedure for the prosecution of the perpetrators of school-based gender violence. This was done about 2 months ago. Out of school children, the number that have been enrolled so far, about 2 million in various areas, in basic schools and Arabic literacy program, vocational training. You can see about 2 million plus so far. And then guidelines have been training manuals for the implementation of inclusive basic education in Nigeria. All these have led to increased enrollment in our schools at that level.
Governor Fentiri has reconstituted the Governing Council of Adamawa State University, Mobi, appointing Professor Maxwell Gidado, SAN, as Pro-Chancellor and Chairman, along with other members. The appointment aims to enhance academic excellence in the university, with a formal inauguration scheduled for April 5, 2024, at the Government House Conference Hall. Other members of the Governing Council include Aliyu Mohammed Gabdo, Vidon Jole, Dr. Ali Damburam, Barrister Hafsat Abdullahi Jimaita. After several years of legal battle, the crisis between patent medicine dealers and relevant regulatory agencies in Kano State seems to have been over nearly a month after a federal high court ordered the relocation of the pharmaceutical dealers from Sabongari Market. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that pharmaceutical business has picked up at the new pharmaceutical market in Dangoro area of Kano State. His report.
It is called Kanawa Coordinated Wholesale Center, a modern facility provided for the purpose of sale and distribution of pharmaceutical product as against the controversial open market in Sabongari.
The nature of the people is they don't want to relocate. Even if you build a new house, from your old house to your new house, it will make you cannot even go directly to relocate. Maybe it will give you more difficult to relocate. So most of our members, they were having shop like what I have said, but they refused to come until when the federal government enforced them to come here.
Following a federal high court judgment directing these traders out of Sabongari, business activities are picking up, with hundreds of youth now engaged in different areas. Traders believe that the new market is giving a new vista on wholesale distribution of pharmaceutical products.
Ever since we've been operating illegally. That was why we have been having head-on collision with successive governments. But Alhamdulillah, now from 2016 till date, the federal government felt that since the regulation on drugs is an exclusive jurisdiction of the federal government, so they made provision through law that this place is going to be a legal and a permanent place for wholesalers. So that is the most happiest part of it.
The facility is designed to monitor the kinds of drugs brought to the market, restrict the influx of illicit drugs to the communities, as well as ensure effectiveness and quality control of the pharmaceutical products across Kano State.
As you can see right from outside, provisions for so many things are made. Parking space, conducive place for keeping drugs, enough spaces for customers to come and park their cars, conveniences, and what we call the cold chain for what we call the thermolabile products, where drugs that are meant to be kept between +2 to +10 degrees centigrade, they can be safely kept and safely transferred to hospital for a patient to safely be consumed and get healed by Allah's grace.
Although traders lament the high cost of shops in this new market, but authorities argued that the shops are designed to preserve pharmaceutical products and that the shop size is not the same with the ones in Sabongari market.
Before we pick the price, we consider where they are before. Because the measurement of the, when you see this shop is 36 square meter, equivalent of 4 of where they are before. So where they are before is they were paying 400 per 9 square meter. 400. When you multiply 400 by 4, it's almost 1,600,000. But here is 1.2, which means if you divide it by 4, it's 300 per 9 square meter. So this one is more cheaper than the place where they are.
Traders here say the Kanawa Coordinated Wholesale Center for Pharmaceutical Product has come to stay, and they are already making the best use of the new facility. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
More on health matters. Resident doctors at the University of Medical Sciences Teaching Hospital in Ondo State have commenced a 14-day warning strike. The doctors, under the auspices of the National Association of Resident Doctors, said the strike was necessitated by the non-payment of 7 months' salaries to their new members. Speaking to newsmen during the protest, the president of the association, John Matthew, disclosed that the doctors were also protesting the state government's failure to disburse the February hazard allowance despite assurances, as well as shortage of staff resulting from the resignation of doctors from the hospital. He revealed that there were only 26 resident doctors in the hospital as against 150 a few months ago. Away from health matters, the need to equip journalists with the requisite skills to probe government policies at national and sub-national levels, as well as unearth ills in the society for the benefit of all, is a focus of a 3-day capacity building training for select journalists from the South zone of the country. Organized by the Daily Trust Foundation in collaboration with MacArthur Foundation, the training focuses on broadcast investigative journalism. Jonathan Anwai completes the report.
Addressing journalists at the training held in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, a board member of Daily Trust Foundation, Nuru Yakubu, said the foundation, with support from MacArthur Foundation, has trained over 700 journalists across Nigeria in emerging areas of media and journalism, especially the genre called investigative reporting.
It is on record that this is our third training event since 2017. The Daily Trust Foundation has actively been involved in training of journalists in emerging areas of media and journalism, especially the genre investigative reporting. With support from MacArthur Foundation, Daily Trust Foundation has trained over 700 journalists across the country.
In his welcome address, the Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Information, Ini Emobong, commended the organizers for fostering a culture of investigative journalism throughout the country, as well as strengthening the media's role in safeguarding democracy and public interests.
They will be coming to the development of the democratization processes of our country. The entire press becomes one family, and that is where the collaboration is.
Participants expressed gratitude for the training, which they said is relevant in enhancing their skills and knowledge.
Okay, we learn every day. The things that have been taught have sharpened my skills, and I'm going to use them. Then for the society, I hope to be a better mediator between what is happening, which are not known to the masses. I appreciate the Daily Trust Foundation, and I hope they will continue with this good work.
There's some things that I didn't know before, coming from the background of print media into broadcast investigative stories. So I felt, because most of the investigative stories are done majorly print, and we have lesser of the broadcast. So this has really inspired me and given me ample opportunity to also think of how to delve into it and bring out stories, because there are so many underreported stories in our community. Bring out stories to the public through pictures, through telling my stories through pictures.
This training has exposed us more, and with this, I think we can serve more better. Thanks and everything goes to Daily Trust Foundation for giving us this great opportunity to upgrade ourselves more.
Commenting on the significance of the training, a board member of the Daily Trust Foundation, Theophilus Abba, stated that training opportunities like these would help to create a network of journalists who can unearth untold stories, expose corruption, and promote transparency in our society.
At the end of this workshop, at least 10% or 50% of participants take up the challenge to use the camera to do broadcast, to do investigation. When you talk about the camera, the camera captures events, captures scenes, captures voices are broadcast to the world. So we expect that the camera will be used for investigation instead of relying purely on just pen and paper or photographs or even just text. So we expect that journalists will use their skills to do investigation and to produce reports that can be broadcast all over the world.
The 3-day training is expected to cover a wide range of topics, including research methodologies, fact-checking techniques, interviewing skills, and legal aspects of investigative journalism. Jonathan Awanya, Trust TV News, Uyo.
You're still watching the News Hour on Trust TV. We'll go on a quick break now and return shortly. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Let's now join Yusuf Akogu for the business news.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. The volume of dollar traded in the official exchange rate market increased year-on-year by 95% to $12.68 billion in the first quarter of the year from $6.5 billion in the Q1 of 2023. The sharp increase reflects impact of recent measures by the Central Bank of Nigeria to liberalize the forex market and improve dollar supply into the country. Analysis of the data on daily transactions provided by FMDQ showed that the market recorded turnover of $2.14 billion in January, $5 billion in February, and $5.54 billion in March. Also reflecting impact of the CBN measures, the nation's external reserves posed 2.9% increase to $33.885 billion in Q1 of 2024. And International Facility Services Limited say Nigeria needs about $50 billion to stabilize the economy. The company said given the prevailing economic challenges, including inflation, high interest rates, and currency instability, there's an urgent need to implement the short-term and long-term strategies to address these issues. Founder of IFSL, Tunde Ayeye, said the country needed the cash by way of foreign exchange reserve to stabilize the currency and minimize societal disequilibrium. Nigeria and other African countries are expected to experience continuous food inflation in the coming months owing to the disruptions in the global trade as a result of attacks on shipping lines by Houthis rebels in the Red Sea. This is contained in a report compiled by Afreximbank on the implication of the Red Sea attacks on African trade and macroeconomic stability. According to the report, the impact of global trade disruption in Africa will be mixed, with Egypt facing a significant reduction in traffic around Suez Canal, while South Africa faced increased traffic and pressure in its port due to rerouting of vessels through the Cape of Good Hope. Investors at NGS continue to dump banking equities amid controversy over the exclusion of retained earnings from the composition of new minimum capital requirement set by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Let's see how the market traded today. Indeed, it ended in the negative territory. The equities that pushed down the market today are Capital Helicopter, down 10%, close at 1 naira and 62 kobo per share. International Energy Insurance, down 10% as well, 1 naira and 44 kobo per share. It ended, of course, Thomas Wa, also down 9.63%, 1 naira and 97 kobo per share. It ended, of course. This has dragged down the market by 0.32% in the negative side. 540.026 million volume of shares were traded, value at 8.908 billion naira. In a days of 10,364 did exchange hands among investors at the close of business today. Of course, top trading equities, we have Access Corporation there leading the table with 50 million volume of shares, UBA for 49.005 million shares, and of course Transcorp Nigerian PLC 45.946 million shares. It did traded at the close of business today. Of course, we have some equities that recorded gains. Leading that table is UPL Nigerian PLC up there 9.84%, SOA Motors 9.69%, and of course Morrison also gained 9.66%. Of course, these are the highlights of the stock trading as it went down this Wednesday on the floor of NJS. Let's see the global stock market for today. Now to the FX market. Stability in the forex market continues this Wednesday. Let's see to this market data. The price of Nigeria's Bonilite rose further on Wednesday in the global oil market following increased tension in the Middle East resulting from Israeli airstrike in Iran's embassy in Damascus, Syria. At the London market, European Brent sells for $89 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, dealers offer $88 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Ako.
Thank you so much, Yusuf Akogu, for the business news. Now, away from Nigeria, at least 9 people were killed and more than 800 injured on Wednesday by a powerful earthquake in Taiwan that damaged dozens of buildings and prompted tsunami warnings that extended to Japan and the Philippines before being lifted. Officials said the quake was the strongest to shake the island in decades and warned of more tremors in the days ahead. Director of Taipei Central Weather Administration's Seismology Center, Wu Chen-fu, said the earthquake is close to land and was felt all over Taiwan and offshore islands. Strict building regulations and widespread public disaster awareness appear to have staved off a major catastrophe for the earthquake-prone island, which lies near the junction of 2 tectonic plates. Wu said the quake was the strongest since a 7.6 magnitude struck in September 1999, killing around 2,400 people in the deadliest natural disaster in the island's history. Wednesday's magnitude 7.4 quake hit just before 8 a.m. local time, with the United States Geological Survey putting the epicenter 18 kilometers south of Taiwan's Hualien City at a depth of 34.8 kilometers. And now to an update on the war in Gaza. Israel has continued to block the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees from bringing food and other aid into northern Gaza, the aid agency said. This has attracted worldwide condemnation as Israel's military stands accused of deliberately targeting charity staff bringing food to thousands of Gaza Palestinians facing imminent famine. A United Nations World Bank report estimates the infrastructure damage in the Gaza Strip at $18.5 billion in the first 4 months of Israel's devastating assault. At least 32,975 Palestinians have been killed and 75,577 wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7 attack stands at 1,139, with dozens still held captive. Israeli protesters demand the government do more to free captives held by Hamas, with some smearing paint on the partition between the visitors' gallery and the plenum. The protests followed 3 days of anti-government demonstrations in Jerusalem when thousands took to the streets calling for more action to free the hostages and new elections to replace Netanyahu. Let's now join Emmanuel Fashimi for the sport news.
The president of Nigerian Wrestling Federation, NWF, Daniel Igali, has revealed that the federation is working towards securing one more slot for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. 6 Nigerian wrestlers, comprising 5 female and a male, have already booked their ticket for the event. Odunayo Adekuroye in 57 kg, Blessing Oburududu in 68 kg, Hannah Ruben 76 kg, Esther Kolawole 62 kg, and Christiana Ogunsaya 53 kg, as well as American-born Plateau State Ashton Mutwa, who is competing in the male category, have secured their tickets for the forthcoming quadrennial event. Not resting on their achievements, Igali said the next move is ensuring that another female wrestler, Mercy Genesis, who narrowly missed qualification recently at the African/Oceania qualifiers in Alexandria, Egypt, after losing in the 50 kg weight class, would have another shot at joining the contingent to Paris 2024 during the next qualification window in Istanbul, Turkey in May. Igali, a former Olympic medalist, confirmed that Nigeria is the only country that has 5 female wrestlers qualifying for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, adding that he will be happy and fulfilled to add to that number and win gold medals with the wrestlers at the Olympics. Ahead of Paris 2024, Igali, whose tenure as president of NWF elapses in 2025, said his joy would know no bounds should any of the athletes win a gold medal. 4 managers have been shortlisted for the Nigerian Premier Football League Coach of the Month award for March. The quartet are Fidelis Ilechukwu of Rangers International, Benga Ogunbete of Shooting Stars, Kennedy Boboye of Sunshine Stars, and Umar Blahi of Aqua United. Ilechukwu led his Rangers side to 3 wins and 2 draws in the month. The energetic coach guided the Flying Antelopes to the top of the MPFL table. Veteran tactician Ogunbete guided the Oluyole Warriors to 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat in the month. Sunshine Stars continued their impressive run of form under the tutelage of Boboye. The Owena Waves were unbeaten in the month with 2 wins and 2 draws. Ablahi led Aqua United to 3 wins, 1 draw, and a defeat in the month. The winner of the match award will be announced next week. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashemi.
Of the latest emerging and re-emerging stories in Nigeria and beyond. And with that, we've come to the end of the news hour on Trust Television. But remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for your time. Good night.